Hey, good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday. It is 8 o'clock. It's my favorite time of the week. My name is Paul Spencer, and I am with one of the pioneers in broadcasting radio, Mr. Bill Furman. Bill, how are we doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Paul. Good to be back to talk college football. Nothing better.
Yeah, Bill, first I want to say, how's the weather down in Philadelphia? Because last night, Bill, I got 2 inches of snow up here.
We don't have snow yet in Philadelphia, and we certainly don't have snow in Florida.
I hear you. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I keep saying Philadelphia because it's Philly Press Box. That's where you're
That's
from.
right.
That's
That's
where
right.
I take it to. But glad you're, enjoying that weather down there, Bill. But I couldn't believe it when I woke up this morning. I thought it was a bad nightmare. 2 inches of snow. But
Yeah, it's a
oh,
little too early for that, right?
it is. I mean, my football team is not, I don't think I've ever played in the snow, honestly. I don't think I've ever played it. We have a game this week, our last game of the season. But yeah, we'll go from there. But Bill, it's the best time of the year here. Wow, we're moving on. This is week 9. We're moving into week 10 here, Bill. We're
Man,
almost done with the season.
it's hard to believe. Hard
It
to
is.
believe.
Oh, time
And
flies.
and every week it just seems to get better. These matchups keep getting better. These teams are coming out of nowhere, and
Mhm.
they're getting better. Just so much talent running around out there.
Yeah, I mean, any given Saturday. I know we always say the term any given Sunday, but Bill, it's every any given Thursday, Friday, or Saturday in college football nowadays.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
well, Bill, let's dive into last week here. What game do you want to throw out? What game caught your eye last week?
Well, the UCLA Colorado game.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole story to that game. I think UCLA got after them right
Hmm.
from the start.
Hmm.
Play one, they were full blast after the quarterback,
Yes.
and they were doing it with 3-man, 4-man rushes, and quite honestly, they beat the crap out of the quarterback.
Hmm.
Um, they turned the ball over basically 5 times in the first half. Two
Yes.
fumbles, 2 interceptions, and a missed field goal.
Hmm.
That game should have been 35-0 at halftime, and ended up being pretty close. Um, but the interesting part of that game, and I know people probably won't like to hear this, Deion Sanders and his staff did crap.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, their quarterback was under massive pressure the whole game. They did nothing at halftime to make any adjustments. They didn't
Hmm.
bring a tight end in. They didn't. They apparently they don't have one. They don't have it in their offensive scheme. They
Hmm.
didn't use anything like an H back or running backs into block. They let that kid, and I don't care whose son he is.
Exactly.
That has nothing to do with it. They let that kid go back there and get a beating, and then
Yeah.
come out and trash the offensive line. It was just a poor showing by Deion Sanders in my
Bill,
mind.
exactly what you said, Bill. 7 sacks in that game. It could have been worse than that. The kid
We
was
had
running
over
for his life.
20 hits. He
Yeah,
was hit
yeah.
over 20 times.
Pressures, yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the one thing, Bill, when you watch games, I know you've coached, many, many years, decades, and I've been coaching for a while now. And I caught myself yelling at the TV at Deion Sanders, where the hell's the chip block here? Put a damn 12 personnel. Hell, go 13 personnel. You
Help
got to
yourself.
chip. You got to help them. Fullback something. But you look at Deion with no adjustments after halftime, Bill. And this just tells you, like, I can get the talent, but do I have the ability to coach the talent and make the adjustments? I don't see it, Bill. I don't.
Well, I mean, I didn't certainly didn't see it Saturday. And,
Right.
and and to your point about the talent, you treat talent like that, you throw talent under the bus, you're not going to
Yes.
get the talent.
Yeah.
You're going to lose out there. But I will say this for Sanders, the quarterback,
Hmm.
he played fantastic. All things given, his numbers aren't all that whatever, but he hung in there. He
Great.
took a beating. He was hurt on top of it. The kid played really hard, and hats off to him for what he was under. He didn't get any help from his coaching staff.
I agree. I mean, I give the kid all the credit in the world. He does have heart. He goes out there. But just as you said, Bill, when you throw the offensive line under the bus here, when 90% of it was coaching staff adjustments, making the right decisions to make the adjustment where, Bill, the rushing game, 24 carries, 25 yards total.
Yeah.
It was just I give Brian Kelly, Chip Kelly, all the credit out there because he put a game plan in there. He must have did the homework, and you pin your ears back and you go after the quarterback because he must have seen something. Well, we don't have a tight end, or we don't use one, or we don't know how to use one in this scheme. Well, you know what? I'm coming off the edge really damn fast.
Yeah, and there's sometimes when you're preparing for a game, you're like, you know what? They're better than us.
Yeah, yeah.
We better figure out.
Mm-hmm.
We better figure out something because we don't have as much talent as they have.
Yeah.
It happens, you
Yeah.
know. And you watch enough film, you do it. You watch enough film, you're not stupid.
Yeah,
You look at it and you say, you know what? We're outmanned this week. We got to figure out some way to make this work.
Yeah.
And certainly not get our quarterback killed is one of the things you're not going to do. Even if you get beat, you're not going to you're going to make a good showing or try to, and you're not going to get your guys hurt. The quarterback is lucky he came out of that game healthy.
Bill, let me ask you a question before we move on to another game here. You've coached many decades, and if I'm an offensive lineman and I hear at the press conference, it was all about the offensive line. They need to step up here. What can Shedeur, not my son, but what can Shedeur do? Run for his life the entire game. Bill, how do you think an offensive lineman feels after hearing that? Like, you make the right decision, coach. Put us in a better package here where we can help out Shedeur. We've seen it before, but make the adjustments. How do you think the offensive line feels, Bill?
Well, I think what you have with offensive linemen, because they're different creatures to begin with, they have too much pride.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play hard.
Yes.
But you can bet whether it was over a cocktail Saturday night or Sunday night or in the room by themselves, there's some people not happy there, but they got too much pride to go out there and get beat again like that. They're going to play hard, but it's certainly been talked about.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been a fly out there on the wall at the buffet table that night for the offensive lineman. What the words going around on that one there, Bill. Absolutely. But Bill, one game I want to talk about, Bill, a ranked team, that had a clear-cut advantage to get to the national title here. Oklahoma goes down, Bill, to Kansas, 38-33.
Yeah. Well, you remember I liked Kansas early on when I picked them to beat Texas, and then they got blown out of that game, and they kind of disappeared from the picture. They were playing good ball early in the year, so I don't know that. I don't think I thought they would beat Oklahoma.
Me either.
But they're not a bad club, and they were pretty much in control of that game. Oklahoma played from behind.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the quarterback, Bean, didn't have a great day, 15 for 23, not a lot of yards there. But he had 2 picks, major picks as well, that kept Oklahoma back in the game because it was a field possession game, Bill. It was just field possession here. Who was on the other side, the 50-yard line to get the ball here. But running 41 for 225 before TDs. This was a running game, Bill, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought we were probably overseeing Oklahoma just kind of get punched in the mouth. We're not. Yeah. They did.
Yeah, Bill, we've been talking about there for a long time.
And I know we're going to get to the Oklahoma State game coming up, Bedlam, this weekend, and we'll talk some more about that punching in the face. But
great.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that it went the way it did, but for Kansas, a beautiful win.
Big time. I mean, I did not see this coming, Bill. We were texting back and forth in the chat there, and I'm like, this. I think you said I think I said Kansas is that up, and you said it's still too early. I think you said that to me, and I'm like, you're right about that. But then at the back of my mind, I thought we talked about this all season with the Venables there. When do they play defense? I mean, they haven't picked that up yet. They're still playing Lincoln Riley philosophy that we don't have to play defense. We can outscore you, Bill.
Yeah, and again, is it a personnel thing? Venables can coach defense. He coached the heck out of it at Clemson. Mm-hmm. Does he just not have the right Jimmies and Joes yet?
I mean, I could say that. I'll give him that valid point because this is not his team, Bill. He's been there. This is his second year there. So, the freshmen are now, sophomores, of course. So this is not his team because he's still dealing with the Lincoln Riley's team. No defense matters. We don't care. We'll outscore you. Well, I think, Venables is going to change that philosophy in the next year here, what he's recruiting.
Well, he better. If he's going to the SEC, he better figure out how to play defense.
You're right. Oh boy, talk about defenses out there. I mean, you could win a game 7-0 in that in the SEC with that defense out there because, I mean, we talk about Bama. The offense is not there, but this defense is just they can keep you in any game. So good luck, Brent, out there. But I tell you, it's going to be a big uphill battle for you. But now, Bill, I want to ask you. I watched the Penn State game. I usually don't watch Penn State from beginning to end, but Bill, this was a close game up until maybe the last 3 or 4 minutes here. Did you see it this way?
Yeah, they came out flat again.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I'm going to go with they're just not that good.
Okay. Okay.
You know, they've cruised along. They've won. You got to win,
Sure.
which has kept them in the mix. You saw it, and we'll get to the rankings. You saw how the voters voted.
Yeah.
You know, they put them in the back, kind of in the back of the pack of the one-loss teams because they don't have that signature win, and they don't really have big wins. They, you know, they're an average football team, you know, an above average football team. They're not good. They're not great.
I agree. When I watched that game, Bill, I'm like, wow, Indiana has a legitimate shot here to win this game. You know, just that last 4 minutes of the game. I mean, you look at the box score here, 33-24. Then you think like, okay, Penn State had an easy ride, not an easy ride, but a clear, victory here. But it didn't seem that way. I mean,
No.
what do you think it is, Bill? Is it just Franklin? I mean, not putting the players, because we talked to Goon, everything is built in the trenches, Bill. And this offensive line is still not Penn State football to me. It's just not what it needs to be coming with the Michigan pretty soon here.
Well, the thing that really surprised me about this game is defensively, they've been really good.
Yeah.
And they were not good
defensively.
A lot of breakdowns, a lot of look like communication problems.
Yeah.
A lot of things didn't go their way on the defensive side. And that bothers me a little bit more than the offensive side this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, you can't put a three-phase game together. You look good here one week. The defense plays great. The offense sputters. You got to put it together. I mean, you're coming down in week 10 here, Bill. You've been playing Sisters of Nobody. Now, all of a sudden, you are what you are, and we see what they are. They're not a legitimate team yet, and I'm glad where the BCS put them, Bill, which we'll talk about there as a one-loss team. They put them in the back of the back of the pack here, and I think they finally got it right with strength of schedule here, Bill. I really do.
Yeah, and I think if they're not careful, 5-3 Maryland might sneak up on them Saturday. Yeah. They better play better.
Agree. Mm-hmm. Bill, there's one more game I want to talk about before we move on to the BCS ranking. That's what we came here to talk about. But Bill, this game, USC 50, Cal 49.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think you and I were texting about this when it happened. If I'm Cal, I'm not going for 2 there. Go ahead and kick the point. Your team has played their heart out. Make it 50-50. Go to overtime and take your chances there.
Exactly.
Going for 2 and coming up empty, you might as well have lost 50-28.
I agree, Bill. I mean, going to that game, if I'm sitting there, okay, you know what? Okay, the extra point's coming. We're going to OT here. This is what I want to see. Your defense has been playing, you haven't stopped anybody really, but you put yourself in a position, both sides of the ball, to get to overtime, to play another set of downs here, to go for that 2, Bill. Man, I tell you, I mean, I give the coach some balls because he actually went for it, Bill. But after a game like that, you got to live another set of series here, and you got to go to OT.
I 100% agree. I just, to come away with nothing. I mean, you lost.
Yeah,
you came away with nothing. I guess you're a genius if you make it.
Right.
But I would think I would liked a whole lot better to try to stop them. They couldn't stop. They couldn't stop each other.
True,
so something was going to happen there at the end to who was going to make a play.
Agree.
If they go to overtime.
And the funny thing is, Bill, we talked about Venables, in Oklahoma here. And Lincoln Riley left there and went to USC here. I tell you what, when you're playing Lincoln Riley, don't worry about the defense because every team has a shot to beat USC because they do not play defense, Bill. Any team. We've seen that.
Absolutely. And we're going to see it again this week when they play Washington.
Yes.
We'll talk a little more about that, I guess.
We have a comment. Sean says, "What's up, guys? How about the Fighting Irish? Back to the shed beating. It was defense. Yeah, it's finally, Bill, it was a 3-phase game. I know it was Pittsburgh. I told you I was a little bit scared, but you put me back in my place.
And Pittsburgh stinks.
Exactly. They do. Yes, they do. 58-7, Bill.
Yeah. Well, and when you win by 50 points, credit to you. It doesn't really matter how bad the team might be. Pitt's still a Division I team, and you beat them by 50 points. So
you got to beat who's in front of you, right? Just take care of business.
That's right. Take care of your business.
Yep.
Notre Dame did not play down to their level. They played at a high level,
right from the beginning.
Yeah, and
Finally.
more power to them. Interesting spot for them in the rankings too.
Exactly, which we'll talk about. This is what we came to talk about here, Bill. Well, Bill, I mean, you said it last week. I asked you who you're putting up top, and Ohio State is there. I think they finally got it right because two huge wins. They were in the top 10. Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia drops. Who have they played? Michigan, once again. Florida, they're riding that high off of Texas win, Bill.
Yeah. I mean, I like it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got it right. The Washington Oregon deal is probably pretty close to right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Washington's going to play USC at USC this week, number 20. So we'll find out about that. But yeah, I mean, the top 5 are the 5 undefeated teams.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Though the one thing that did surprise me a little bit is I thought the Washington over Oregon win might have a little more pull on it to get them up another spot or so.
Mm-hmm. Bill, who was I said Texas when Florida State played them. Who did they Florida State beat in the first week there, Bill?
Clemson. Well, they beat Clemson, and they beat Clemson on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They played somebody in Orlando. Somebody came to Orlando.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a high
LSU.
LSU. That's what it was. Yes, that's what it was, Bill. Because they're living off that high, moving up that fast with that victory there. But hey, you know what? Beat who's in front of you. But I agree with you. I thought Washington, with that Oregon win there, I thought they would move up to 4, honestly, when I thought about it, looking at the strength of schedule. Because Clemson's not what they are, Bill. And their big win is LSU sitting at 14.
Yeah. Yeah. The one that kind of surprises me is Michigan, I still think, is a little higher than they should be.
I agree. I agree with that.
And maybe even Georgia. I mean, they're beating both those teams are beating the teams that they're playing pretty well. So you got to give them that. But neither one of them has that big win yet.
I agree with that. LSU Kid Camden says LSU.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Bill, 100%. I mean, I looked at the strength of schedule, but what I did, Bill, is I wrote down, some of the teams remaining here, what they have. Going to Ohio State, they have Rutgers, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Michigan. So that 1-3 battle will play itself out there. Then you go over to the other side here, Georgia. They have a tough schedule, Bill. Three top 20 teams here. They have Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then Georgia Tech at the end. But everything here that we look at is going to play itself out, Bill, because that 1-3 combination will play. Penn State at 11, they're still in the mix to play this 3-team triangle. Washington, Oregon here, they're going to play itself out, even though they already played each other. But I looked at Oregon's schedule, Bill. Cal, USC, Arizona State, Oregon State. Washington has the toughest schedule, Bill. USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State.
Yeah.
I think if they can win out, they deserve to be in the top 4, Bill. With that schedule that they have.
That's a tall order. They're really good.
Yeah,
and they'll have the Heisman Trophy winner probably too if they win.
I hope. Yeah, I hope they. I think Caleb's off the map right now the way he's playing because it shows the way he's playing, Bill. But Florida State, Bill, they have Pitt this week. That's a cakewalk for them. Then they have Miami. Then they have North Alabama, which I didn't even know they had a team. And then they have Florida at the Swamp. So if they went out, do you think they could? Let's just say, Bill, if we know 1 and 3 is going to be voided somewhere. One of those teams are going to be out of there, of course. They're going to be out of there. So let's just move Georgia. Let's say Ohio State wins. We'll put Ohio State 1, Georgia 2. If Florida State wins out, Bill, with the schedule I just said, and a Washington wins out, who gets that 3 and 4 spot, Bill? How are you flipping those two if they win out?
I'll tell you what, if Washington wins out, they're going higher than 3 or 4 to me. They would go up to probably the 2 spot, assuming Ohio State wins. Let's say if Ohio State wins out, I would put Ohio State, Washington, 1 and 2, knowing what we know today.
Gotcha. Okay. I agree with that. I think it's going to clear itself out. I love the BCS ranking here, first, Bill. But the one team that really, we talked about this every year, Bill. What is the BCS without Alabama? They're creeping at 8, Bill. They're at the doorsteps.
Yeah, and I kind of hate that.
I do too.
Well, as I was looking at this whole thing, Texas beat Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're a little bit ahead. But you look at the one-loss teams and the way they put them in here. You got to remember, Oklahoma beat Texas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But Ole Miss, their only loss is to Alabama, so now all of a sudden they're at 10. They climbed because of that.
Yeah.
Losing to Alabama doesn't drop people like they should. They still carry that
Agree.
weight because people want Alabama in the mix, or some people do. Money people do. Network people do.
Bill, I agree. I've always said this, Bill. I'm a Notre Dame diehard fan, but that name recognition alone goes a long way. And Alabama's prestige of, well, what's a BCS without Alabama? We have to have them somewhere. We have
got to have them in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have them in the hunt.
Very true.
And Nick Saban has earned that, I'll say.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if you are sitting down, just like we're being real about Penn State and their schedule, you got to be real about what Alabama is. And I'm not sure they're the number 8 team in the country.
True. I mean, this week will tell a lot too. LSU can score. Jaden Daniels can get out there and put some points on this board too. So Alabama's known for that defense, but Bill, their offense is not what it used to be. I mean, going back to the Tua, the Hurts, Mac Jones days, Waddle, Devontae Smith, those days, it's not what it is, Bill. And if that defense doesn't show up to win a game, this could be a bye-bye Alabama week. Could be.
Yeah, and for them, a big thing is it's at Bryant-Denny instead of being at Tiger Stadium. So that's a huge advantage for the Crimson Tide.
Agree. Mm-hmm. Now, Bill, what if Penn State wins out? Where do you put them? How far can they move up? I mean, teams are going to fall, Bill. Of course, we know that they're going to fall out of there. But if they win out, Maryland, I'm not going to put Maryland, at any disadvantage. I think they possibly could win this game this week. Then they have Michigan, Rutgers, and then Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're sitting there at the end of the day and you're 11-1, you certainly have to climb the ladder because everybody else isn't going to be sitting there at 11-1 with the way the schedule is going to work out. So, I don't think they can get to 4. I don't know that that's possible. A lot of chips have to fall for that to happen.
Agreed.
But there's certainly no reason they can't get back up in that 6th spot, say.
I agree. I mean, you're going to get a New Year's Eve day game, one of the big 6 games here. So that's a great bowl game for you. But the way I'm looking at this now, Bill, a lot of teams are going to be falling pretty fast. And those teams from 11 to 15, they could possibly move up. I know my team has 2 losses, Bill. That Louisville, if they didn't lose to Louisville, Bill, they would probably be sitting at probably 7 or 8 right now, possibly maybe a 6th spot with the only loss to Ohio State being Notre Dame. But you look at this here, Bill. Okay, 2 teams in 3 teams in basically the top 11, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. They're arguably going to try out. One team's going to make it in the BCS. Washington, Oregon there. And then you have, of course, Oregon State at the very back there. But that SEC, Bill, Alabama, Ole Miss, Missouri, LSU, they still have some head-to-head matches there, Bill.
Right. So I think there's a whole lot that's going to play out.
And Tennessee, I said it's 17.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole lot that's going to play out with those games. If Alabama is able to win all those games, they'll be up in that top 4 or 5, maybe, if some of these other teams lose. I mean, if you end up, let's say, with a 1-loss Michigan, who say they lose to Ohio State, you end up with a 1-loss Michigan or a 1-loss Alabama, they're going to take Alabama to that. They're going to get Alabama in that top 4.
I can agree with that. I mean, hate to say it, but that's just, the BCS. That's the way it's been. I wish the BCS would just do the expanding this year, Bill, because I would love to see, that team at the very back get in here because your top 4 are so hard based on strength of schedule. And a lot of times, Bill, we don't see strength of schedule make the right call here. We don't.
No, I mean, you can't help your schedule. Your schedule is made years and years in advance. You can't help your schedule. So now you don't schedule Massachusetts and Delaware either, so we got that. But I think for the most part, your schedule is what it is, and you win your games and you play well. That's the best you can do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at some of these games, Bill, like Florida, they play North Alabama, or Florida State, I'm sorry. They play North Alabama, second to the last game. Ole Miss has University of Louisiana at Monroe, as their second to last game. I'm looking at the other games here. those stand out to me. They really do. The other teams have conference battles coming up, but those two there, it doesn't help your schedule, especially if you're going to play a team at the end of the season. Go out and try to get a non-conference game, Bill. Somebody that's name recognition. But it's all about the wins now, Bill. And just like you said, you're looking at 4 years down the line playing. Hell, Notre Dame's already got a back-to-back with Texas coming back. A couple years here. That's already been said and done. But I don't know if that's going to change, Bill, going to the SEC, honestly, because just like we talked last week, why would you want an out-of-conference game against Notre Dame when you're playing a pro schedule in the SEC? You don't want that.
Nope.
You don't want that.
And it's not like it's going to bring you a ton of more money either.
True. Mm-hmm. Agree.
So, I think the other thing in this mix you got to think about is they're going to be conference championship games.
Yeah.
So now maybe you have Alabama play Georgia.
That's what I'm leaning
towards. If it ends up being those two, Texas and Oklahoma could end up playing again.
Yep.
Oregon and Washington could end up playing again. So, and I don't know. Well, yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Utah's out for it right now. USC's out of it. Oregon State's out of it, and it's just going to come down to that one loss with Oregon versus Washington. That could be a rematch there, of course. And the Texas Oklahoma, that could be a rematch as well. And it's either going to come down to I'm not going to put Tennessee in there. LSU still has a shot. They can overjump Alabama depending on this week here. So I think Georgia has a tough schedule as well, Bill. But I think it's whoever's going to be the SEC championship. And, Bill, that could possibly be a 2-loss team if it's close, too. I mean, if it's Bama with a 2-loss, losing by 3 points to, say, a Georgia in the SEC championship, if there's a 2-loss team, I think, that conference, they boost that conference up. And, of course, Alabama, too, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the craziest thing is, looking at this, and I'm just thinking of this. It's not something I really planned. But say Ohio State and Michigan, Ohio State wins. Then they go to the Big Ten championship and Ohio State loses. And now you have Alabama with 1 loss. And let's say they go play Georgia in the championship and beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Now they got 1 loss.
Yeah.
And Washington and Oregon play and Oregon wins. Now they have 1 loss. So, I mean, and Oklahoma, Texas play and one of them has 1 loss and one is out. So Florida State is the one that could maybe be in a little safer spot because they don't have great competition over there on the other side of the ACC.
Yeah, I think they're either going to end up playing, most likely North Carolina being a 1-loss team. I think that's who they'll play in the ACC championship. But, Bill, I was talking to a guy at practice yesterday, and he doesn't watch a lot of college football. But he asked me, he was like, with the NFL playoffs, it's all seeding, of course, the wild card, you get the bye being the 1 seed. But he was like, in college, when the SEC championship or any conference championship, how far does that go in your mind as a voter, Bill, that you have to win that last game? Because there's been times before we've seen, and speaking of Alabama, they lost an SEC championship, and they still found a way to get into the BCS standings here. How far does that go?
It happened with Ohio State, too, and
exactly.
I think it stinks.
I agree.
Only in that, if a 2-team, well, in Ohio State's case, they didn't even make the championship.
Yeah, right.
Game and still got in the Final Four.
Yep.
That's just wrong to me. You got to win something to get something, right?
Right.
I think. So if you don't win a big game along the way, that's got to knock you out. To me, it's got to be heavy. It's a heavy.
I agree. That's why the one thing, Bill, I know it's not on topic here, but I love the NCAA basketball, where if you get to the tournament, you have an automatic bid if you win your conference. You have something to play for. I mean, hell, Bill, you can go 0-16 for the entire season, be the 8th seed or the 10th seed in the Big Ten here, win out the conference, and you got a bid to the dance. You play for something. That's what I like to see, because everybody has a shot. Win out your games. Don't just, I hate it like even with the bowl games, Bill, 2 years ago when Kyle Trask with Florida, his 4 receivers didn't play. We don't care. We have nothing to play for. We don't care. Kyle Trask went out and played, but he was throwing to, JV wide receivers, Bill. So I want to see the conference championship. I think it matters 100%. You got to win it to earn a right.
And you're going to see more of that.
Yeah.
You're going to see more of these guys. Of course, they might make more money now in college than they do in the pro. So,
Yes.
so maybe they
Very
will
true.
play. Maybe they'll stick around a little longer.
Very true. Yeah, hey, that's me, and I want to be a booster or an NIL deal. I'll just go to them the last game, the playoff game here, build their bowl game, and say, hey, look, we got a big contract for you on the table here. Go out, play great, win the game. We got 3 Mercedes sitting over here, whatever you want, Rolexes. We got you covered. Just go out and play because we want you to win in other ways too. But
Right.
Well, Bill, is there any team that outside here, Bill, that you think could possibly jump the door and go into the top BCS here, Bill? I know cards have to fall, Bill. I know that, doors have to open, but is there one team that you think that possibly could make a silent run up to either top 4, Bill, or outside the top 10 here? What team do you think can crack the door here to get into top 10?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say Alabama.
Oh, yeah, I agree, Bill. I didn't want to say it either. I think they find a way in there. I really do.
Yeah, I think if they get by this week, with LSU at home, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a chance. You ran down their schedule, and it's pretty tough, but
it is.
I think that they've got a chance to sneak up in there.
I agree. Their schedule is pretty tough. If you went out and knowing the name of Alabama, of course, just like we said, Bill, what's a BCS championship series without Alabama? It's just not the same with with Nick Saban. You have to see his Geico commercials. That's what they want to. So he has to be there. Well, Bill, let's move on to this week here. Games of the week. Of course, we always talk about our teams, Notre Dame and Penn State. How about we start with Penn State here, playing number 11 here, playing Maryland. Maryland sitting at 5-3, Bill. Any worries?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm as worried about Maryland as I am about Penn State. From the Penn State standpoint, they need a breakout game. Yeah. They need to play solid in all 3 phases and have a solid football game to get ready to go into the bye and go into the Michigan game. Mm-hmm. I mean, 24-17 isn't going to get it.
Agree.
And if they're not careful, they could get knocked off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is one of coming into the bye week next week, Bill, before you go to the Michigan game here. This is one of those get right games, Bill, where everything you've done the past 9 weeks, you've known what you've done wrong and right. It's time to get it right before you go play one of the top 3 teams in the nation here, because this could be your Super Bowl going into where you fall in the BCS category, Bill. So, and Maryland's licking their chops.
I think this is probably a subject for another time, but I think the pressure on James Franklin is starting to build. Mm-hmm. Not beating these big teams the record is just getting uglier and uglier. He's got to start winning some big games. Yeah. He's got a contract that lasts long time, but he's got to start winning some of these big games.
I agree. You look at that, that record that he has against the top 10 teams, inside the top 10, Bill, and that's mind blowing of I think it's 1 win in the top 10 that he's had. That's amazing. You're at Penn State here. You got the big contract. We know you can recruit, but everybody calls him, is he big game James to win the big one here? I don't see it. Evan says we are Drew Aller. I like Aller, but you got to let the kid play ball.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in Aller, and not maybe not his fault. Mm-hmm. They just haven't turned him loose. Let the kid go.
Yeah, you got to take the leash off him somehow. He's the biggest recruit coming in for you playing QB here. You waited a while to have this kid in. You got him in. Well, take the leash off the kid. Let's see what he can do, especially in games where you're playing that. You're playing at Indiana. Take the leash off him. Let him go downfield. Let him beat Aller. Let's see what the kid has, because you're going to need every ounce of that, Bill, when you play a Michigan team that can bang you up front, play you good in the secondary, and keep you to a ball-controlled game. So you got to see what this kid can do.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go to Notre Dame Clemson, Bill. I mean, this game, Clemson is not what it is, Bill. To me, Notre Dame right now is playing for a BCS a New Year's Day game here, Bill. They're bowl eligible, of course, but Clemson is not what they are, Bill. I mean, they are not. I mean, you're not going to bring back Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson back anymore here. So I don't think there's anything to be scared about here, Bill.
I think Clemson's going to win this game.
Bill, don't say that.
I do. And here's why. Clemson is fighting for their bowl life.
Yeah, you're right.
They're 4-4, coming off a game at Miami that they should have played better. Dabo is fighting with fans on the radio. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure on this Clemson team to win. Notre Dame is coming to Clemson. To me, it might be their Super Bowl. I think Clemson is going to come out and be ready to play, and Notre Dame better be strapped up tight for this one.
I agree with that. Now that you open my eyes about that being bowl eligible here, because you are, 4-4. You can't go down to 4-5 and be bowl eligible here. And this could be, a season where you circled, you circled the games on the map already, but you lost a couple games too. So this is your game to make it right, of course, and get back in the winning saddle here against Notre Dame. A team that you haven't played in. Well, last year it went down. 2 years it went down to overtime, of course, in that one game. But this is a game that I don't think it scares me, Bill. But now that you mention it, trying to play for bowl eligibility, it does go a long way. I can just imagine in the locker room him just saying, like, listen, hey, you want to play for a season, play for what's next to you, your brother's next to you, play for pride here. Go out and win this game because I want one more game and I want to play, on New Year's Day or whatever. It's not going to be New Year's Day, but maybe the Blockbuster Bowl, even though that's not around anymore.
Right. Well, and with that all said, I think Notre Dame is the better team.
Right.
I just think there's it's at Clemson, tough place to play anyway. Mm-hmm. And Clemson has just an awful lot on the line here, I think, this week.
Okay. Kid agrees with you, too. You think Clemson wins. I like what you said, Bill, because the one thing being a Notre Dame, fan here every week since I do the show on Saturday, they haven't put back-to-back complete games yet, Bill. They played down to Louisville. They played down to Duke. Even when they played the Chippewas, they let them back in the game. They take their foot off the pedal, Bill, and it's never a three-phase game like last week. They finally played one. And I think that they look at the conference record here, Clemson being 4-4. Oh, you know what? We can just play Notre Dame football. Sometimes it doesn't work. So, man, I tell you, Bill, because Notre Dame's schedule is very easy after that. Wake Forest, which is, Sam Hartman goes back there and plays. Then they have Stanford, a rivalry game as well. They're not the greatest, of course, but I don't know. I think this game here, it could go either way, but I have to go to Notre Dame probably by 7. I think it's going to be close.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's stay in the Big 12 here, Bill. Oh, go into the Big 12 here. Kansas State's in at 23, and Texas. Kansas State can score, Bill.
Yeah, they can. But so can Texas. They don't play defense out there.
You're right. You're
right. I would be mighty surprised if Texas doesn't win this game.
Yeah, I think they're licking their chops, Bill. Just like you said, they're bowl eligible, of course, now. But since Oklahoma lost last week, Bill, that's on the mind too. Like, hey, you know what? It doesn't look good for us. They beat us, then they lose to Kansas here. But if we win this game against a top 25 team here, we will be moving up a lot faster. Just take care of in front of us. But I'm not going to put anything past Kansas State, Bill. They can score, just like you said. They don't play defense on both sides here. Texas can score, but they give up points too. But I think Texas has too much to lose here, Bill.
Yeah. Is yours playing this week? Is he back?
I looked at it. He's questionable is what they're saying. He's questionable. Yeah.
So probably not if he's questionable on Wednesday.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So, you think that game's going to be close, Bill? Or what do you think? I got Kansas winning, but I think it's going to be about a 10-point game here. I think it's going to be high scoring. I'm going to go both teams probably in the 30s here or low 40.
I'm going to go Texas kind of big. Okay. I'm going to say maybe 38-21.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, here's a big game in the SEC, Bill. The Missouri Tigers sitting at those sitting at 12, playing Georgia number 2. I could look at this both ways, Bill. Georgia has a lot to prove right now. They've been discredited, dropping down from 2, Bill. Finally, you're playing a top 15 team here. I think this is one of those, ass kickings, Bill, where they come out and just try to prove a point here. And I'm sorry, Missouri, you might be, on the bad end of the stick here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Georgia probably not real happy sitting at number 2, and like you say, they got something to prove that they belong back up on top, and they're going to go out and make that happen. I'd be surprised otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And I tell you, last week, Bill, watching that game, I thought they were going to miss a beat without Brock Bowers. That other tight end they have, I don't recall his name, but he looks pretty damn good too. They didn't miss a beat at all with him. So, and if Bowers comes back for the Now, Bill, he could come back, correct? Is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still a few weeks out though. He's
Okay.
a ways out, but he could
Okay.
still come back.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think Georgia routes this Missouri Tigers here. I think it's a one-sided victory here. I think Georgia has something to prove that we are the number one team. You drop us because our schedule, we didn't make the schedule here, but it all falls into place, Bill. But Oklahoma coming off a loss here, Bill, and Oklahoma State. This is the battle that a lot of people look at, Bill.
This is Bedlam. That's why they call it Bedlam. Anything can happen in this game. That 9-22 mean absolutely nothing.
I agree. I agree.
It's at Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Advantage them. Mike Gundy is a good coach, and he likes to get after Oklahoma. I wouldn't be one bit surprised Oklahoma State wins this game. It's just that kind of game. You flip a coin and see what happens.
I agree. I think Oklahoma State, I think the Cowboys, I love saying that name, Bill, for a win, but I do think the Oklahoma State.
Be their only win this weekend.
Oh, Bill, stop it. I knew you had to get that one in there, but I do think Oklahoma State wins this game, Bill. I really do. I think they've watched the tape on Oklahoma last week where Kansas is, they spread them out and just run the ball, do what they have to do, play field possession here. And Oklahoma State can run and they can throw too. I think it's going to be a who stops who first in this game. But I think Oklahoma State pulls this game out here. I think it's going to be close, but I think Oklahoma State wins this game. I think the Cowboys beat the Sooners this week, Bill.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
I
can roll with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of don't play defense, Bill, let's go move out to the wacky Pac-12 here. Washington sitting out there with the Heisman Trophy frontrunner Michael Penix, and the has-been, Heisman Trophy winner, the reigning Caleb Williams. Both teams don't play defense, Bill.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting game because Washington is going to win this game.
I agree.
But coming to LA to play USC is a daunting task. But USC just hasn't proven anything to me, and they're going to fall outside that top 25 and they're going to be going away. And
agree.
Certainly USC has the offense to beat Washington, but like I said, they can't play defense, and I think Washington can.
Agree. The funny thing is, Bill, when we look at these games here and we talk about the Pac-12 not playing defense, but I was looking at some of the games in the Pac-12. When two top teams play each other, they don't score a lot. But when anybody plays USC that's under the radar, they put up 40 to 50 on them. Bill, Colorado, Arizona State, and Stanford. These teams put up points, but I don't know what it is. I think Washington wins this game, Bill, but I think Caleb Williams in the back of his mind saying, everybody's talking about this Michael Penix guy. I think I need to go out here and showcase my talents over who's taking my spot. Bill, what do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he's due. He's had 4 straight kind of subpar games.
Yeah.
3, 4, whatever. I mean, my opinion sitting right here, and I don't have the names right in front of me, but he doesn't even get invited to New York for the Heisman.
We talked about that last week. You're right. I think he's dropped so far down, Bill, especially after that Notre Dame game, 3 picks, and it showed a lot what he was, Bill, on the sideline, off the sideline, his character, number one. I know we don't discredit character on playing value, but I think it goes a long way with the way this kid is carrying himself, Bill, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think he better straighten it up because there's people wanting to pay him a whole lot of money, not part of the ownership of their club, but a whole lot of money at the next level. And that certainly plays into it.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to get a stake in an ownership now, the way he's playing right now, Bill, honestly.
Nah. He might buy a share or two, but they ain't giving him
at full price too.
Right.
Yeah, no discount for you. But Bill, before we go on to the last game here, the game of the week to me, let me ask you really quick. I know we're not talking about Heisman here, but if you could start a franchise, Bill, and you got that number 1 pick, coming into next year in the NFL, regardless of who it is, whatever, and you look at a quarterback, Bill, who are you taking? Caleb Williams, Michael Penix?
I guess I would I would take Caleb Williams.
I agree with that one. I agree.
With the idea that I could straighten him out.
Okay.
And you know what I think about when we have this conversation is Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray has some head problems or whatever. He doesn't put in the work apparently. He's not the most coachable kid. You know, and if that's the guy you get, then you should have got Michael Penix because he's not going to be that kid.
Yeah, he's a 6-year senior, coming off 2 shoulder surgeries that he had when he was at Indiana. And the kid's proven that he wants to play. He's put in the work. He'll go out there. And Caleb is that opposite side diva, Bill. Everything needs to be given to him, you know.
Hey, I've got to tell you, my screen is froze. So hopefully I don't go away.
I hope not. I can still hear you, Bill. I can still. Well,
I can hear you too, loud and clear. At the 45:39 mark.
It is. Yes.
I am frozen. But
it's usually every week, right when we get to that 45-minute mark there, Bill. But you know what? Before you freeze on me here, let's talk about this LSU Bama game, Bill.
LSU Alabama going to be a good one at Bryant Denny, and I think I will go with the Crimson Tide in this game, but I think it's going to be a smash mouth game.
I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think LSU is going to put up the points that we're used to seeing here, Bill. I think it's going to be close. The Bama's defense has carried them all season. The only X factor I see is maybe Milroy can actually find something on offense here, because if they do, look out LSU.
Yeah, and Alabama can't get behind early. They've been known to get a little bit behind, and then they play catch up and take care of business. They get behind in this game, they'll be looking in their rearview mirror.
And that's the one thing we can say about Alabama before, Bill. If they get down 14-20, they can come back with the weapons they had before. It's a different team that you can't play from behind with this team. You have to control the lead and play, line of scrimmage football to win this game.
Absolutely. Yep. Hey, I wanted to throw one more game at you, or I want to throw one more thought at you and get your opinion. How's that? Mm-hmm. Nebraska is at Michigan State. Matt Rule has done a heck of a job at Nebraska. They're 5-3.
Yeah, quiet 5-3.
Quiet 5-3. They've got Michigan State. Whoop, there we went.
Are you there, Bill?
Oh, yep. I blinked off and then I came back.
Okay, still frozen there, but I hear you.
Now I'm live again. I gained 7 minutes. Okay, there we go. Maybe. Well, I'm all pixeled.
You're pixel, Bill, but you know what? We can hear you just fine. It's a clear statement coming in, Bill.
Okay, so we have Michigan State 2-6. They should win that. They've got Maryland 5-3. Maybe they win that.
Okay.
They have Wisconsin. They're 5-3. Maybe they win that.
Okay.
And they've got Iowa, who can't score points. But
where's that game at, Bill? Is that in Iowa or where's that at?
I did not write that down.
Okay.
But they would have Iowa the last week of the season. They could be 9-3.
Wow.
And win the West.
Wow. That I didn't even think about that, Bill. Wow.
Well, I kind of stumbled on that because I saw that they were 5-3, and I looked up the rest of their schedule, and I thought, none of these games are games that they are definitely not going to win. Mm-hmm. They can play with these other teams, and Matt Rule's done a heck of a job. I don't know that he can be 9-3, but they're getting a lot better. And wouldn't that be a surprise to have Nebraska football back where it belongs? Because when Nebraska's good, it's better for college football.
It is. And the funny thing is, Bill, with Matt Rule, everywhere that he's been to, Temple, Rutgers, Baylor, he flipped that team around in 2 to 3 years. He's done this in 1 year, Bill. Fast.
1 year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. That's amazing. I didn't even think about that with Nebraska being like that, Bill, possibly going with a 9-win season and winning that side of the Big Ten there. That's
amazing. And I mean, even if they don't win all those games, if he can finish 8-4, that's a heck of a season too. Yeah. But I think if he can get by a couple of these games, if he can beat Michigan State and Maryland and be sitting there at 7-3 going to play Wisconsin and Iowa, hey, he's going to have them guys believing they can win those games.
And the funny thing is, Bill, I know we don't do Coach of the Year. We don't talk about that, but everybody's talking about, Coach Deion out there from one game winning 4 games so far. But I think you've got to throw Matt Rule in that conversation too.
Absolutely.
I mean, flipping this team from where they were last year, going to possibly a 7-9 win season that fast.
Yeah. be pretty incredible.
It would. It would. Well, Bill, hey, listen, anything else you want to talk about? We'll get out of here. We'll close it out a little bit early tonight. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
I just had one more thing I was going to throw at you and
Sounds
just
good.
get your opinion on.
Mhm.
We talked about Dion throwing his offensive line under the bus. We've got Lincoln Riley, who's complaining about his recruiting in the Los Angeles area or not in the Los Angeles area, complaining about his kids that he's got. He misses his weekly TV show because he is supposed to be sick. We have Dabo Sweeney fighting with fans on the phone. What do you make of these coaches and the social media or whatever? Do you think that these kids getting money are being treated more like pros than they are being treated like college kids with a little more kid gloves as college kids? Hey, you're what, and maybe this has nothing to do with it, but we've never seen coaches just ripping kids like we're seeing now, and whether it's just a social media thing or what.
I think it has a lot to do with social media and the price of players now, Bill, because these players, back in the day where, Saban makes $12 million a year. Lincoln Riley's up there about $8 million. These coaches are up there. But to me, it shows a bad side of the coaches, Bill. Just like you said, when Lincoln Riley, he says he's sick, he misses his press conference, he doesn't do his weekly show. Coaches are fighting with fans. They're fighting on shows here and there. And I think the coaches now realize that with the transfer portal, Bill, which is wrong to me, that if you treat a player bad, you could miss him in next season. He could be the best athlete and be gone in his transfer portal. I think coaches are learning the old school way versus the new school way. I'm old school. I demean a player if they play bad. I'm going to tell you who played bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat a damn thing. Tell you if I coach sucked, if I suck coaching that week, I'm going to put it on me. But I think coaches now are learning how to go with how understand players, Bill, with the new era of money transfers. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but I don't know, Bill. I hold it both ways, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm as old school as they get. Keep it in the locker room.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, what happens in the film room and however you deal with your kids, that's between you and your kids. It's not for everybody else. Kirk Ferentz was another one this week who just made everybody unavailable for the press. No players could talk to the press this week.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. And maybe it's because you got younger coaches making a lot more money. Than other. Nick Saban's not going to hang a kid out.
No,
he's just not going to do it.
No.
There's guys like that have been around for a long time. Just not going to do it. And times are changing. Oh, by the way, the other guy that we were talking about, coaches throwing people under the bus, Pat Narducci basically threw his whole entire team under the bus.
Yes.
After that Notre Dame debacle. He should get fired for that, by the way.
He should, yeah. Well, I think he's on a hot seat already, Bill. As we talked last week, he should have been fired already. Yeah. Already. And after that statement, we already packed your bags. No need to go back to the locker room or your office.
That's
You're
right.
already out of here.
But now that was the last thing I had. I've been thinking about that. I wanted to get your thoughts on why you think coaches are reacting the way they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bill, we're old school. If we coach bad, we're going to say we coach bad. That loss was on me 100%. I didn't put my team in a position to win that game. We always say play to win, not play to lose. Right. That's what we do. But I'm old school, Bill. If I call it how I see it, if my team sucks, I'm going to say this is what sucked. Well, I called the right plays. They need to execute the word, but too many coaches out there, Bill, are just all for themselves in a way, I guess, and not taking the punishment that they deserve on a coaching staff.
Yeah, but the coaches should always take the losses, and the players always take the wins.
Exactly.
That's what needs to happen in public. Then you go back behind the film room, and then that's where you fix your stuff.
Exactly. Keep it in the locker room. Keep it out of social media, and what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. That's right. The way I believe. But Bill, all the viewers know where you're from, Bill. But where can they find you once again?
Philly Press Box Radio, Wednesday night, 7:00. We had a good show tonight
Mhm.
and every Wednesday. And we just got this Twitter thing going on.
Yes.
So you can go Philly space Press Box space radio.
Gotcha.
And
Well, Bill,
check us out.
who is your partner on that show? What is his
Jim,
name again?
Jim Chet Chesko, and I think Chet is going to be joining you on your 9:30 Cowboys
Yes,
show, right?
yes, we
Eagles
have
Cowboys
Jim
League?
Texaco night at 9:30. He's going to be giving us. He's going to give me the business. Of course, I know that. It's Cowboys Eagles week this week, Bill. But Bill, I want to get your take really quick. Who wins this game? I know where you're going, Bill. But what are the keys to this game here? What scares you?
Well,
If
nothing
anything.
scares me. Nothing scares me. I think Dallas is good.
Mhm.
Dallas is a good team. They might be the second best team in the NFC,
Mhm.
besides the one they're getting ready to play. I think the Eagles will run the ball more this week, and they're going to put pressure on Prescott and try to get Prescott to turn the ball over, which he at times can do. So
Agree.
I think the Eagles will try to take over that line of scrimmage. It's Dallas's strength is defense, but
Mhm.
one way that you can neutralize a guy like a Micah Parsons is run right at him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't let him run the field, run behind plays, and make plays that way. Run right at him and make him fight off Jordan Mailata at 6'8", 380.
Mhm.
Make him get in a tussle with those guys. And if you gain 4, 5, 6 yards of a shot, hey, you like that.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people think, the Eagles are just going to run away. I don't think it's a runaway, Bill. I think it's going to be
Oh,
in the
no.
trenches here.
Oh,
And
no.
I like what you said. You run at Parsons. You put a hat on him, make him beat you, with the offensive lineman. Make him run up the field, go right between the lanes here, win the line of scrimmage. Because Dallas's defense is what they are. If you get pressure on Dak, he's going to be that deer in headlights, Bill. We've seen, what he does when he gets pressure. He's not the QB that the elite people say. I'm never going to call him elite. Never will. But I think you win I think DeAndre Swift, they're going to have a game this week where they're going to run at Parsons. I think this is going to be more of a ground game than I've ever seen from the Eagles, honestly. And I don't think, I think if you run the ball and then you open up that avenue for Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, of course, even throwing Julio out there, being his size and, being a third wide receiver. So I think the Eagles win this game, but I got to see this is a measuring stick to me, Bill. That's what I'm looking at this week, where we match up being that 2 or 3 team in the NFC right this year.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, the real key matchup to me in this game is how is Dallas going to defend A.J. Brown?
Yes. Yeah.
He's just playing crazy lights out.
Mhm.
So do you double him somehow? And if you do, are you going to single Devontae, single Goddard, Julio Brown or Julio Jones, Swift out of the backfield? There's a lot of weapons.
And then Goddard as well in the middle because Dallas struggles with a tight end.
Right. So I think that's a real challenge. You can't
Agree.
single cover A.J. Brown. Not Dallas, not anybody else.
Mhm.
He's just him and Tyreek Hill are playing on a different planet right now. So
yeah, agreed.
You better have a plan for him.
And that's the thing too, Bill. I mean, the rookie Deron Bland's playing, 3 pick sixes, 6 picks this year, is playing great off the ball. But then pick your poison. You want to put, Gilmore on A.J. Brown, or do you want to go with the rookie? And then you have to have a Malik Hooker in the backfield, a Javon Curse coming down to play, on A.J. Brown. You got to bring that safety down. You can play cover 2, bring one down. But then again, you're going to have Devontae Smith running the field 1-on-1, and then Goddard as well. It's just pick your poison.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for that defense, and to for Dallas, I think to be successful on defenses, they got to be able to rush the passer.
Exactly. Yeah, this is going to tell me what the front seven's all about. I mean, they make pressure, but this arguably, I love how the Eagles move off the ball. I love Kelsey coming off the pulls because I tell you what, his size and his speed, and he finds that second level, Bill, coming off the ball there. That's something that I'm looking to see.
He's been really good. Really good.
Yeah. Well, Bill, you ready to get out of here?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. I got to go to bed. Got to go to work and get ready to do some college football this weekend. I can't wait.
I hear you. I can't wait, Bill.
And pro football.
I agree. I mean, there's a big game on Sunday, so we have a whole weekend to look forward to, Bill.
You betcha.
Definitely. All right. My name is Paul Spencer. That is the original there. That is Mr. Bill Furman. So we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. and we'll talk some more college football. Until then, hopefully your team wins, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, Bill.
All right. You too.